There are some games that are just simply legendary. Some games earn the status because of being revolutionary, creating the perfect time capsule of a game, or just being a trendsetter that every game would, copy them. But then there's some games that get on that level, and there's only on their times that can even be stating the current era of games. And that's the game I'm going to be playing today. Kirby Air Ride, a racing game from 2003 created by HAL Laboratory, is about Kirby racing with air machines. Why are they racing with air machines? Don't ask dumb questions. But then this game implements interesting angles and ideas that sets itself apart from that era of the 6th generation and GameCube games that were considered racing games. This would be when Mario Kart decided to put two racers as a pairing, people thinking Zelda were going for the kid direction with Wind Waker, and arguably, in quotations, racing games around this era was at the two sides of coins. They were either mascot kart racers or realistic racers that would put everything in their power to make the game look visually stunning. Games like Gran Turismo, Burnout, and Midnight Club would be the main set examples. And, oh god, I need to replay this one. Okay, what am I saying here? Well, all I'm saying is this. In the atmosphere of the 2000s, Kirby Air Ride would have a struggling time to gain its audience and whatnot. Because let's be real, most people that would pick Kirby probably remembered Kirby from Super Smash Bros. Or at least had one of the older consoles beforehand to pick this game up. And so, what made Kirby Air Ride so unique in a lot of ways that made people that played it become so attached to it that they even played online nowadays? Well, we'll see. Okay, what is Kirby Air Ride? Put it in the most deconstructed way into a racing game, your main objective is to win races, but then there's also tons of different side stuff and tasks to do that would help you progress further along in your racing. These racing games are just in the most simplest of ways, easy to pick up, hard to master. It's like most other racing games, but instead of having vehicles to unlock, most vehicles are unlocked by simply just keep playing the game without doing immense challenges. And these unlockables could be different courses, different color of Kirby's, and different mini games to do on your off time. It's like the series to most people. It looks fun and all, but once you get into the deeper things, you start to understand why Kirby has such a really interesting lore. There are 3 different game modes that players can select to play for their time being, and most of them, and I mean one of them, is really the reason why most people play this game nowadays. And so, why does this game have a cult following? Well, it's how the game actually plays out. Unless most typical kart racing games, Kirby Air Ride has a players race along in simple controls that you can just press A or L and R to move around and accelerate from boosting. So instead of you knowing how fast you have to go or when the time to stop accelerating, Kirby Air Ride just lets you just press A and hold it. And if you do it correctly, you can gain a boost from stopping as much as you can. But that's putting this game into much in a simplistic way, because there's tons of different vehicles that have different personalities that most people would find to be interesting the first times they would play it. But once they keep playing it, they gain new appreciation towards these vehicles. A vehicle like the Warp Star has a dragging way of feeling of turning, but it does keep up with speed, while driving something like the Bulk Star, yeah, it has the health to protect itself, but you're not going to have enough speed to actually really race in any way. Let's look at this. Or maybe you like to fly and so you wanted the Winged Star, but hate how it doesn't give you sharp enough turns, and so you look for the Jet Star that can give you a little bit better turn, but also give you that boost of acceleration just hopping off of the air. Of course, there's vehicles that are just better than others. Stars like the Star Wagon doesn't charge, but it does keep its security up, keeping a consistent speed, and then you would get something like this where you sacrifice all of your turning ability just for pure speed. There's also a family of vehicles that can be described as Wheelie family, with all of them pretty much just being the same base of a vehicle but having different attributes into their abilities. Something like the Wheelie Bike would have a great amount of speed and can do some good damage if you really boost up that offense, while something like the Scooty Bike is basically your scooter in a lot of ways. It has great turning and it can buff itself a lot of ways, but it doesn't have the speed, while the Rex Wheelie is pretty much the tank of the two. It doesn't have the good turning, But if you really need something to protect something and keep speed, this is one of the vehicles that you can find to really make an impact. If there's a vehicle that you really want, it's probably there, and you testing out a lot of these would help you pick and what's the best vehicle just for your own taste. Alright, now to the main thing that people are wanting to know about this game and why this game is so legendary, that would be Top Ride. Okay, I'm kidding. It's actually City Trials. But before we actually go into City Trials, let's actually talk about Top Ride. Top Ride is pretty much the top-down version of racing in Kirby Air Ride, where multiple players are racing around in a small little map that has items that will help you progress further, or pretty much just screw yourself in a lot of ways. With having two different style of vehicles that you can use to help yourself progress further on, it's nothing to be bad about, but it's the one that's forgotten about because, let's be real, who has unlocked anything in Top Ride mode? Unless you're that bored. Alright, let's get to the meat of these things. City Trials. City Trials is a game mode that puts all the players that are playing right now together into a matchup that requires 5 minutes in default settings to set players to build their air ride machines and until the given time is over or to go into a challenge. This means that challenges can go from racing, drag racing, melee, destruction derby, or even face King DDD. And all of this to get a winner out of all of the players. And this is why this game is purely remembered, because you can spend so much time playing Kirby Air Riding City Trials that you literally just forget everything. Yeah, you just spend $50 just on one game mode. It's a good game mode. There's just such a flow state into things in Kirby Air Ride that, especially in City Trials, that it just becomes second nature after like the third time you play it. I think I can just explain it as this. As you start with the Compact Star, you have not the worst vehicle, but one of the most mid vehicles, by the way. It isn't fast, it has decent enough turning, but it's something that you are wanting more. And you have the option of looking for it, or you can build up the Compact Star to actually be very valuable. And so it becomes a thing of a scavenger hunt. You look for items, you look for abilities, and pretty much at the end, you get to see your stats and you get to see how proud you should be at completing this in that set amount of time. You start picking up habits on a lot of things that not a lot of people would think of in the first time, but it's things that you would remember constantly over and over, that you kind of get into a cycle of things that you probably go into the towers, right next to the castle, and even to the volcano area just to look for certain items or certain opportunities to look for them, because you just know that they start spawning there. There are a couple different events around keeps happening that freshens things up, but it's never going to be something that makes you completely bored out of playing Kirby Air Ride. It just makes you tuckered out at least. The only thing that I would say that is the bad thing about Kirby Air Ride is when certain events happen, but it's only the things that happens like once in a while. It isn't going to be a thing that happens twice or even thrice in a couple sessions. But speaking of boxes, there are actually 3 different type of boxes to help you progress throughout your time limit of 5 minutes, or in this case of this footage, 7 minutes each. As blue ones help you out progress throughout the game with stats that will either help you or lose your stats, you're pretty much going to be trying to look for these blue ones all the time that you can. There's an event that will change how they look and whatnot, where the items inside would look like bootlegged versions, but there's nothing really bad about these boxes. If you see them, you hit them just because you can. There's also green boxes that are also included in these, and these are more just quick little stat boosts that can help you along, or just create mayhem just because you can. There's stat boosters that help you with your offense and defense. There's also the candy that makes you invincible. There's also this ticking time all down. And then there's red boxes. Red boxes usually carry on the enemies' abilities that you would be able to find. So it's things like the lightning bolt, fire, wind, ice. You're pretty much just find it in these, but there's a small slim in matches that you would have a good required timing to find what are called specials. Specials are ability-seeking vehicles that will help you progress on in your races, or even in destruction derbies, or whatever you're looking for. It really just depends on the situation, and you'll have the best time to find them. You would find 3 of each, and then once you get them, you practically become menace in the game. Pretty much just beat whatever challenge it's going to be. There's abilities that would make you really try to max out your gliding or your top speed like nothing, because the Hydra is there, and the Hydra is the fastest vehicle and the most destruction-driven vehicle. I'm telling you this, anytime that I've gotten a Hydra, you just want to hit people every time. I want to make them feel pain, and I want them to just not want to play with me anymore. There's just something seeing the Hydra just charge up and you just know people are looking for whatever they can that damage to you before like you just run and run them over. And especially you accidentally just miss the turn and you just see them and you're just saying to yourself. There's also the Dragoon, and the Dragoon is actually one of the better vehicles to actually get. If I have to pretty much compare these two, the Dragoon is more common to find. This one is actually pretty good, especially if it's one of those drag races that actually has like a little cliff and you can fly off, because you're going to keep the speed that you already have, that you've been building up, and you're just going to have tenfold. Believe me. If the Hydra goes like 60, the Dragoon can go further than that if it's flying. Trust me. There are so many clips of me just flying around just because I got it and I didn't know what I wanted to do afterward. There's been so many times that I've been looking for these where I just especially just know, oh, if one location's here, I'm immediately always cycling back into the other location that you can find these, and even, yeah, this can happen sometimes with the CPU or just players. Yeah, you can actually just lose these just by getting hit. But yeah, once you try to look for these, and even if you don't find them in a required time, you better have your stats ready because of all the different events that could happen, and it can make you feel like it did nothing for the whole round if you don't get the correct one that you've actually been training for. And of course, those contests are drag races, air ride mode races. It's just straight up air ride mode in one lap, batting contests, high jumps, combat and destruction, Kirby. Yes, I just talked about these, but keep up with me with this. And then you get the hardest opponent of them all, King DDD. King DDD is probably the worst boss to face in City Trials. It's the simple fact of every player can hit each other, and every player will hit each other. Every time you do this, you're either going to have to pray to find the spikes, or you're going to pray that everyone else has done at least decent damage that you can at least try to hit the final blow. Because I am telling you this numerous, and I mean numerous times, that everyone in that lobby is gonna retire after this. And so, is that just what City Trials is? You just keep playing around and just keep doing this over and over with nothing to unlock? Don't be stupid. There's things to always unlock in these kind of games. Once you unlock a lot of these things, you start seeing these check boxes come down over and over with things that you can absolutely unlock. I've gotten a lot of this done just because of me recording this. Yeah, to say that's an understatement. And plus that you can unlock all these different kind of color Kirbys that, hell, even I would want to unlock. I remember unlocking purple Kirby and asking, where the fuck are the rest of them? And of course there's things that you can unlock for free ride mode. Of course the legendary items, King DDD. You can also get Meta Knight in there and, you know, run the rails, but
if you can't beat 'em, eat 'em. Chew up the competition with Kirby as he jets across 20 gap-busting race courses in Kirby Air Ride. Only on Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone. GameCube.
Kirby Air Ride was a game for me that I would just roam around free run. And a lot of times I have my brother and his friends play with us, and I would always get bullied out of the game. But, you know, there's a lot of things that I would say that City Trials is just unique for. It's just this small island that has things that you can just walk around and just enjoy yourself with. And this is coming from someone that wasn't a Kirby fan back as a kid until later on. I didn't know who this guy was, and I would just look at him for most of the times when I was a kid just because I was just intrigued by it. I thought it wasn't a real character, but until, I don't know, like when I was like 7 years old when I played the old Kirby games, I learned that was Woody Woods. May you be my favorite first boss in every Kirby game. And like even seeing these that I would never see playing in City Trials just as platforms until later on when I figured out that I can get on here, it just made me feel like there's secrets everywhere. There's little buildings everywhere. And plus, wait, that's a castle? Yeah, that's a castle. I even remember figuring out the glitch to actually get the bulk star to actually break the record. And yes, I even still remember how to do this. It's just tapping and tapping. You better be gassed up. So I'm telling you this, if you don't have the gas, you're not going to be winning this, people. And there's also unlocking maps by destroying all your friends, by getting KOs multiple times. And I'll be real with you, I love these maps. These maps are just so cool to me. every time I see them. And with a game like this being so unique, there's of course always attempts at these communities staying alive by trying different things to kind of keep them from one another, and that would be playing online with each other. Because guess what? Every game can do that now. And listen, I would love to try to play Kirby Net Play, but guess what? I'm working with a laptop here, and knowing laptops trying to play GameCube games, it's gonna explode. But in the most simplest of ways, this is just a quality of life thing for Kirby Air Ride for people to play. It basically just gives all the things that people would have asked for in the original to actually have function instead of just having A be the button. So like breaking, drifting, grabbing abilities, all those things can be done by this version of the game, and also to be playing online with people. Hell, they even let you have different events being customizable, spawn rates, and even music, and customizing maps for city trial, and also customizing Kirby. You know we officially lived the highlight when we can have different colored Kirbys without feeling so dumb about it. And also, fun fact, all these are from the Amazing Mirror. Kirby Air Ride is one of those games that I constantly go back to, looking back upon, replaying it time in and time out, just because of how fun it is for most times. It's really one of those games to me that it has a limitless of time factor that you can just pick up and play. And I feel like a lot of games, especially looking back further and further upon now, just feels like that, not archaic, but you have to be adjusted to that time period to understand and really enjoy those games as well. But Kirby Air Ride kind of kept itself stuck in the time for how simplistic it was. And I think that's why a lot of Kirby Air Ride fans are so much a fan of this game, just because of how unique it is. Of course, you have racing games where people would have discourse saying which one's the best one, but then there's this game where it was only one game. Of course, we had the spiritual successor in Smash 3DS with Smash Run, but there hasn't really been another game like this to really get people that hyped from Kirby. There hasn't been a Kirby Air Ride 2, it's just been Kirby Air Ride, and Kirby Air Ride only. And so, I want to thank this game for being the game that made me a Kirby fan. It actually made me want to seek out these other Kirby games to actually understand what was Kirby, than just him sucking up enemies and just copying their ability. And so, thank you, Kirby. Hey guys, I want to thank y'all for watching this video. I hope that y'all enjoyed all of my gameplay of me playing this for the most part. If I have any suggestions to do is figure out how to use the capture card correctly, because I'm not gonna lie, most of the time with this, the audio was delayed, so this is why you didn't actually hear any audio of the game. So I hope that y'all appreciated watching this video. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment as well telling me your nostalgic memories of Kirby Air Ride. If you dislike it, at least give me some of that engagement. And I hope that y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye. Also, don't worry, I know this game exists. I just did not put it in my script.